Alright guys, we're back and I'm going to show you this. This is going to be one of my upcoming projects. This is a Dayton leaf vacuum that I picked up off of Craigslist for 125 bucks. Now, what I'm going to be doing is, I've already made some modifications to it, as you can kind of see here. Let me lean that over. But originally, it had that snout mounted where that plate is now. And it's supposed to be self-propelled, but the drive belt for it broke. It was broken when I got it, and I can't find another one. I've done some checking around. I could probably find one through one of the lawn care places around here, but it's a little 1/4 inch wide, 22 and 3/4 inch long belt. So it's real small V-belt. But anyway, this plate here, I actually made out of some that I had here, and I need to go through and finish, grind the slag off from where I cut it with a torch. But I cut the plate out and I cut a hole in the center of it, and I actually had some sheet metal that I brazed on. I could have MIG welded it, but I was just, the brazing does not look the greatest, but let's put it this way, I'm trying to teach myself how to torch braze, so that was with an oxyacetylene torch. So, a little practice, and it's not going to hurt anything. It functions just fine. The tubing is actually, if anybody's looking to do something like this, is actually a PVC, reinforced PVC dust collection tubing that I found on Amazon. And I got 10 feet of it for, I think it was like 30 bucks, $35, something like that. So it's real cheap, real inexpensive. It's actually pretty heavy duty, and I was using it today to a little bit, kind of testing it out. And it worked good, and it doesn't seem like it held up really well. So, might be an inexpensive alternative. Now down here, for my suction piece, this is actually a piece of 6-inch PVC riser that I got from Home Depot, and it's only 2 foot long. But I just cut the bottom end down here at a bevel so that when you're down on the ground, you can kind of work at a little more of an angle. Now up here on the top, since it is 6-inch pipe, what I had to do, because it's 6-inch inside diameter, I had to cut, I made 4 slits down the tubing and took out maybe a 3/16 to a 1/4 inch wide piece in each place. And then, as you can see from the marking on it, I couldn't find my heat gun, so I heated it up with a torch, and then actually just put the hose clamp around the outside of it as I was heating it, and just kept tightening it until I shrunk it together. And that shrunk it down enough where I could slide the tubing over the top. And then for the handle, I just had a little piece of bar stock that I cut it, drilled 2 holes in it, and I had this old galvanized, I'm going to back up here so you get a little better look. That's just some old galvanized tubing. I don't remember if that was trampoline tubing. I think that was an old top rail off a chain link fence, but I had it laying around. So I cut the bottom down here at an angle and welded it to the plate. And then first I bent the hook in the top with my 16-ton Harbor Freight hydraulic pipe bender, and I'll bring you a little bit more of a review on that later on. But the die wasn't quite the right size for this, and you can see how it rippled it here in the bottom, and it did kind of flatten it out in a couple spots. But for what I'm doing here, I'm just making a handle, so it's not critical, And then the just notch this short piece of tubing here, welded it, MIG welded it on here, and it actually works really well. On the output, I've got an adapter piece that allows me to adapt that to a 4-inch, like a 4-inch hose, which worked fine. It moves enough air out. As you can see, the opening is not, the opening is about 4 inches 3x4 roughly. And, you know, it does a trick. It actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the blower and the engine off of the rolling base. And I'm actually going to make a mount because I have two different yard trailers that I use. One I can tow behind the lawnmower, and I've already made a deck adapter for 6-inch tubing like this, because I had tried making I guess you could call it a homemade bagger setup for it. And unfortunately I did shoot video of that, but the camera that I had, the video disappeared. So I never could post a video for that. And it didn't work so great because I was actually trying to use just regular 6-inch ductwork for it, and the bends were too tight, and it just kept plugging up at the bends because the bends were too tight. So, but I want to make a mount to mount it on the trailer that I can tow with the mower, so that I can use it as a lawn vac when I'm like a bagger vac when I'm mowing the yard. And then I'm also going to make an adapter or a mount that I can mount it on the tongue of the trailer that I tow around with my ATV. That way, if I have leaves piled up, like doing, you know, blowing the leaves here in the fall, especially in a couple areas where I really don't want to go with the lawnmower, I can hook it up to the trailer, and, you know, I can put the vacuum on it, mounted on the tongue of the trailer, and then I can just drive up with that trailer with the hose and the handle on here and just suck the leaves up. And that's what I was doing with it today, only I had the unit sitting on the ground, and I had the 4-inch, basically it's a drain tile pipe is really what it is. And it's back in, I put that in the shed tonight. But I had that running into the trailer with netting over top of it to collect it all, and it worked great. Mulched them up real nice, but I just figured I'd bring you that. Look for that project to be coming up here shortly. And if any of you guys out there have suggestions for good, inexpensive action cameras, I'd really like to know what you have as far as suggestions for good, inexpensive action cameras, because the one that I had, it was a fake GoPro, GoPro knockoff that you get on Amazon, and that's kind of what I'm looking for again. But the problem I have with it is it does not always record all the video. It records in 30-minute clips, which is fine, but it has a tendency to lose the video that I want to use, and the clips that don't really have any content to them that I would end up deleting out anyway are the ones that it keeps. So I need to find a new action camera, because I've got all the mounts, like the chest mount and the head mount and the suction cup mounts for it, and I like the fact that it's weatherproof, but I need something that's actually going to record and actually save the video. So, and I really don't want to spend the money right now for, I don't want to shell out a couple $100 for GoPro. I'm looking to stay hopefully under $80 for something good. So if any of you guys have suggestions, you've got one that works well for you, let me know. But anyway, I just figured I'd bring that to you. Keep your eye out, and probably in the next week or so, I'm going to try and bring you some video where getting the mount for this setup, and I'm going to try and make it somewhat of a quick attach mount, so that I can just take it off of one and put it on the other, or vice versa. Whenever I need it on one trailer or the other, I can just swap it over pretty quick, and when I don't need it, I can take it off and store it on a shelf in the barn. So keep your eyes open for that. If you have any suggestions for a good action camera, again, drop them to me in the comments section. I appreciate hearing from you. And, guys, please give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. That way you can kind of see what's coming up next. Have a nice evening.